Hey YouTube, today I present to you the ultimate gay cruise packing checklist. Well, ultimate, when I say that I mean, well, I like it. This is a version of the same checklist that I use myself, not just when I go on cruises, but when I just travel in general. And with my years of travel and cruise experience, I have now made it available to you all. And this isn't just a list of items you check off as you pack them. It's also got tips and advice from moi, and it's also got things you shouldn't pack for a cruise because some things are a no-no. In addition, the list is meant to be completely customizable, so you can open it. I've left space so that you can fill out things that you might want to pack. Link down below in the description is the link to the full checklist. It is in Google Sheets format. But even if you don't have a Google or Gmail account, you can still use it. Click on the link and then open up in any web browser. No login is required. And then you have a few options for how you can use or edit the spreadsheet. If you want to use Google and you have a Google account, you can make a copy and then you have your own personal copy of the checklist to edit and modify. Or you can also print or download it into a different format. You can download it as a PDF, download it as Microsoft Excel, or you can just print it onto actual real paper and then use the spreadsheet that way. Otherwise, you can always just click on the link, and then because it opens up in any web browser, you can just follow along there. The first thing we're gonna talk about are things that you should not pack and should not bring with you to a cruise. Weapons or anything that resembles a weapon, even if it's like a toy gun or like fake grenade or anything like that, that's a no-no. Anything that's flammable, like candles or anything like that, you can't bring on board. Things that heat up, like a coffee maker or like a clothing iron, you can't bring that. I think the only exception is most cruise lines will let you bring like a hair straightener or a curling iron. And your stateroom should already have a hair dryer, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. Any sort of regular power strip that you have around the house or extension cords, most cruise lines don't let you bring those on board. However, if you want to have more power outlets, I've seen some places on Amazon, for example, they will sell cruise compliant multi-plug adapters where there's no actual cord to it, but it's something you plug into an existing outlet and it gives you additional ports. Drones are quite popular these days. You can't fly a drone anywhere on or near most ships. Some cruise lines will let you still bring a drone on board if you get off at a port later on, and if at that port it's somehow legal and allowed, then you can fly it away from the ship. But there are some other cruise lines that don't even let you bring a drone on board regardless. Most cruise lines will let you bring a limited amount of alcohol, usually maybe like a couple bottles of wine or something like that. But they have usually specific rules about how much and what type you can bring. So you definitely want to check with the specific cruise line to see what the rules are before you bring alcohol on board. If there's anything you're not sure about, just go and search on the cruise line's website for what cruise line you're going to be going on. And most cruise lines have published online a list of the prohibited items for their ships. The next section in the checklist is a list of things you need to charge up before you pack them. So any electronics that I want to pack, I always, the day before I start packing, plug everything into charge. Similarly, there are a short list of things that I do and take care of before I start packing. For example, I'll download music and videos onto my phone and tablet. Take some time now, clear off some space on the memory cards for your cameras and also on your phone so that when you're on your trip, you're taking photos and videos, storage space won't be an issue. Some banks and credit card companies want you to give them advance notice before you travel to a different country. So if that applies to you, go ahead and do that. All right, now we get to the things you actually want to pack. First of all, very important, your cards, identifications, things like that. Passport, driver's license, credit cards, wallet. These things you always should pack in your carry-on. There's always one or two people on every cruise that accidentally packed like their passport and they just slipped it into like the side pocket of their check-in luggage. And then when they arrive at the curb to the cruise port, they handed the luggage to the porters and they took it away. And it's like, oh no, but they go to check in, they realize they don't have the passport on them. Don't be that person. The next category are over-the-counter medications. So you've got motion sickness, painkillers, allergy meds, upset stomach medication. I would say concentrate on the basics, and you don't need to bring an entire drugstore, and you don't need to bring like every single type of pill that you have in your medicine cabinet with you. Every ship's gonna have an infirmary on board for any of the slightly more advanced types of pills or supplies. They're gonna have you covered. Okay, next we move on to prescription medication. Obviously, this is gonna be very personal to your own medical needs. I've only put on here prep because that's relatively popular in the gay community. And being the type of cruise this is, it is also somewhat popular for people to bring their ED medication. So if you do have ED medication, you can bring that. My advice here for prescription medication is pack more than you think you'll need. You're going on a cruise for 7 days. Instead of packing just a 7-day supply, pack like a 10-day or like a 12-day supply. Just have that extra. All right, moving on to clothing. We're still living with COVID, so for each specific cruise, check what the rules are. What I usually do these days of COVID is I'll pack a mask for every day of my trip. So let's say this is a 7-day cruise. I'm gonna make sure I have 7 fresh masks that I can wear on each day. And I also throw in a few extra masks just in case I have a mask that gets dirty. Regular underwear, I wear a new pair of underwear every single day. Just like with masks, I bring a couple extra pairs of underwear it's just a good idea. It's somewhat popular, but not required, on a cruise for people sometimes to wear only their underwear for like a party, right? So unofficially, on most Atlantis cruises, as an example, the very first party on the first day, unofficially, is an underwear party. So you might want to pack some jock straps or some other cute underwear that you wouldn't mind wearing if you were not going to wear it under something else. Casual shirts, these are just the shirts that are tops that you would be wearing normally. Tank tops, t-shirt, just anything kind of pretty casual and regular. For more formal shirts, you only really need those for going into certain specialty or paid restaurants. Otherwise, everything else on the ship, there's not really like a dress code that requires you to dress up. At least a few pair of casual shorts, you know, the type that you might just wear to like the beach, for example. If I plan on going to the gym on that cruise, I might have 1 or 2 tank tops and a couple pair of shirts that are specifically for the gym. If you bring formal shirts, you're probably gonna need to bring pants to match. Sweatpants and loungewear, this is where I personally like to have a pair or 2 of sweatpants and then maybe some comfortable like long sleeve tees or things like that. But they're just very, very comfortable clothes to lounge in if I ever want to just like chill in my room for like a little bit. Swimmer, I would say bring at least a few pairs. Sometimes you might get a day where it's not as warm, or it might be nighttime and you're hanging out outside with a friend. So it is nice to have 1 or 2 lighter, thinner jackets with you. Just generally for clothing, don't bring anything super expensive or super nice. The cruise is really not like a super fancy type of atmosphere. It is quite relaxed, it's quite casual. You can save the jewelry and nice sunglasses and things like that for your trip to Monaco next year or something like that. I don't know. Avoid the temptation to overpack, because usually clothes is where it's so easy for a lot of people to just pack more and more and more. If you're like most people on a cruise, you're probably sharing your stateroom with someone else and you're not staying in a suite. Most staterooms are not the biggest rooms in the world. And second, there's not gonna be enough closet space for 2 people to overpack. Shoes, which I split up into its own section. I'm a basic bitch, and I only wear 1 pair, maybe 2 pair of sneakers that I bring. And then I have a pair of sandals, and that's it. Obviously up to you what kind of shoes you want to pack. So you can go ahead, there's space in the checklist in all these different sections for you to add in the things that you want to pack that's not already listed on the checklist. Now I've got a section here, and it's a blank section on the checklist for party outfits, because everyone's gonna have different party outfits. Some people don't do party outfits at all, and some people like turn it up to 11. What I recommend here is if you're doing party outfits, list out the parties that you have outfits for, either some or all of the parties, and then for each party, you can then list out all the pieces of your outfit for that specific party so that you make sure you don't miss any of the pieces for all the parties for which you have outfits. Now, for the people who don't want to do party outfits, or maybe you have party outfits for some of the parties but not for the other ones, then what I recommend is bring like a couple pair of shorts and like a couple of tank tops or shirts or whatever for you to wear to the parties if you're not gonna have a themed outfit. Onto toiletries. Here I've separated the liquid toiletries from the non-liquid toiletries. So with the liquids first, toothpaste, sunscreen, contact solution. If there's any other types of liquids that you use on the daily, like skincare stuff, makeup stuff, for example, you can go ahead and add it to the list. To lighten how much stuff you have to pack for your flight, a lot of the more basic toiletries you can just buy at a drugstore or grocery store. after you arrive from your flight and before you hop on to the cruise. Like travel size shampoo, same for conditioner, same for hairspray. The non-liquid toiletries like toothbrush, floss, shaver. Again, some of this stuff you might be able to pick up just at any random drugstore after your flight, so keep that in mind. If you don't travel very much, I would recommend getting a bag to put all your liquids. You always want to contain your liquids in something that is leak proof. You want to make sure any leaks are contained because you don't want your cologne or your shampoo or something to leak all over your clothes, your electronics, or your other belongings. So make sure you put all that stuff in the bag. All right, the next very long category is electronics, and it's only long because, well, I'm a techie, full disclosure. I have a pretty comprehensive list of electronics that you might want to bring. Not all of these are going to apply to everyone. It's important to bring chargers for all the electronics that you want to bring, and some of these electronics might require a specific type of cable. Now, a lot of newer electronics charge via USB, so look at the devices you have. Maybe there is one charger and one type of cable that works for multiple of your devices. Now we get to some cruise specific items. Most of the parties and outdoors and the sound pressure is actually not that bad, but I always think it's a good idea for any type of party on land or on sea to have earplugs, and you can get earplugs that are specifically for concerts and parties and things like that. If not, you can just pick up some regular foam earplugs at almost any drugstore. And some of these other things in this cruise specific section of the checklist I've talked about in some of my other cruise advice videos, and I'm gonna link to a playlist of them down below. Cruise cards, physical ones, if you order them, make sure to bring those. If you have any door decorations, like any photos that you printed out, if you're bringing a chalkboard or a whiteboard or anything like that for your door. Finally, I think it's nice to either have a little thank you card that you bring and or even some cash on you to give a thank you and or a cash tip to your stateroom attendant. Finally, at the bottom, we have the miscellaneous section. I always have a water bottle with me at all times. For the cruise, I like to bring a water bottle with a little filter in it because I will drink the water off of the tap in my bathroom, and all the water on a cruise is completely, perfectly safe to drink. Just sometimes the taste, depending on the cruise ship, is not the very best tasting, and having a water bottle that has a little filter in it helps a little bit with the taste. I like to bring protein shakes with me. After the flight, I'll pick up some protein powder before I get onto the cruise. So I bring a blender bottle so I can blend up my protein powder. Gums and mints, also things that I buy after my flight and before I hop onto the cruise. Snacks and candy, I just like having snacks and candy. Some air fresheners or scents like Febreze or what's that, Poopery. If you're gonna be sharing a bathroom in close proximity with someone else, some Poopery that you spray into the toilet bowl water before you do your number 2 might be really appreciated by your roommate. Finally, I always throw a packable string backpack into my luggage because if I get off at a port and I just have a few items with me like sunscreen or my wallet, it's just nice to have a string or like a compact backpack that I can bring with me on like little day trips or day adventures when I go off the ship. All right, that is the entire checklist that I use for every single cruise that I go on. I hope you find it useful. If you have any suggestions for things that you think I should add to the checklist, comment down below. I also have other cruise advice videos that I'm gonna link down in the description below the playlist. Otherwise, until next time, bye YouTube. Oh, the fridge is running.